Between the years 2012 and 2017, a staggering 1.5 million Chinese officials found themselves in hot water over corruption allegations. To put it in perspective, that's like catching nearly 700 cases of "oops, I messed up" every single day for a whopping 6 years. I mean, talk about job security, right? Let's look at these examples. In the year 2020, Lai Xiaoming, a former chairman of China Huarong Asset Management for over a decade, decided to go big or go home. He was found guilty of taking or seeking bribes totaling nearly 1.8 billion yuan. In other words, over $250 million in bribes. That's enough to buy, well, pretty much everything. In late 2022, we got Fu Zhenghua, the former justice minister, aka the guy who was supposed to be leading the anti-corruption crusade. But turns out he was just getting into the game, accepting a mere 117 million yuan, which, if you convert to cold hard cash, is roughly 14.7 million euros or a casual $16.5 million in gifts and cash. These are just two tantalizing appetizers from the all-you-can-eat corruption buffet. Trust me, there's a whole gourmet feast of these stories out there, and they're serving up scandal with a side of audacity. You might be thinking, hey, with all this corruption going on, China's economy growth must be down the drain, right? But no. Instead of slowing down, they've found a way to turn corruption into a growth-boosting super serum. It's almost as if they've taken the How to Weaponize Corruption 101 course and aced it. And while most countries boot out corruption as they grow, China's like the rebel kid on a reverse gear, saying, "Nuh-uh, I'm staying." So let's dive into the time machine and ask the million-yuan question. How on earth did China's corruption party get started? Did someone accidentally spill a bottle of corruption seasoning into the economic soup? Or was it more of a "whoops, we didn't mean to become masters of this art" situation? Before starting the chapters of this video, comment below what you guys think about this Chinese corruption, and let us know with some facts. Corruption has remained a complex and persistent challenge throughout Chinese history, appearing in various forms including nepotism, embezzlement, tax evasion, redistribution of wealth, smuggling, bureaucratic corruption, and the most common, bribery. Corruption wasn't entirely absent before China's post-Mao makeover in the late 70s. It was just lurking in the shadows, playing a game of hide-and-seek. Back in the day, bribes were exchanged for things such as cigarettes, liquor, and meat, like a bartender system for shady dealings. I'll give you this fine ham for that piece of classified information. For centuries, the country has promoted the practice of guanxi, the masterclass in networking. Because who needs LinkedIn when you can build your professional empire one small favor or well-placed gift at a time? In the late 1970s, former party chairman Deng Xiaoping stepped onto the scene on a mission to reform China, because nothing says reform like a guy in a Mao suit with capitalist dreams. He famously declared, "To get rich is glorious." Suddenly, making money, whether by the book or a bit shadier, became the trend. Deng was all about socialism with Chinese characteristics, which is like saying, "I'm on a diet, but I'll have just one more slice of that delicious market economy cake." Now, let's dissect this trio of corruption partners. First, the ambitious private entrepreneur. Picture this person as a blend of Elon Musk's ambition and MacGyver's resourcefulness, minus the Swiss Army knife. Then enter player 2, a state enterprise representative armed with funds from state-owned banks, and to put a cherry on top, player 3, the local official, often a party member, who could sprinkle some official stardust on the whole operation. To make this scheme tick, there had to be the prospect of making a mountain of cash, since their shenanigans weren't exactly legal, and the rulebook was more like a pamphlet in a library of chaos. In the early days, this combo gave birth to the Township Village Enterprises, or TVEs, a fusion of private dreams and resources controlled by local bigwigs, like a marriage between reform and, well, corruption. Early on, forms of collaboration like the TVEs allowed productive investments to flourish in a system where the state held all the cards. Corruption even helped out through the bureaucratic red tape, making business smoother than a freshly paved road. But why didn't all this corruption eventually lead to colossal waste, as we've seen in Eastern Europe, Asia, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Africa, Latin America, you name it? Why was China the exception rather than the rule? Now, here's the scoop. China's governance isn't your typical one-size-fits-all deal. It's more like a regionally decentralized authoritarian jigsaw puzzle. Each region gets some room to flex its economic muscles, all while Beijing keeps a watchful eye. Unlike a federalist system where regional leaders are elected and responsive to local needs, in China, these leaders are similar to actors following the director's cues from Beijing. This system of governance might just be the magic spell that counteracts the growth-inhibiting aspects of corruption. You see, China sets investment and production targets for each province, almost like a game of economic chess. These targets come with a tempting prize, a promotion for local officials who can hit the mark. Corruption might be sashaying in the background, but these officials are all about growth as their favorite buzzword. It's like a pact among partners in crime, but this time the crime is economic progress. And guess what? Competition spices things up. Localities compete to meet these targets, igniting a productivity race. This friendly competition ensures that even with the state's overbearing presence, China's economic engine chugs along somewhat efficiently. In the murky waters of China's economic transition, corruption found its breeding ground. Dual prices for consumer and producer goods set the stage for rent-seeking adventures. Back in the day, folks were after state-subsidized goods such as rice and textiles, reselling them on the sly for a tidy profit, a game of price arbitrage. But the unification of output prices ended those exploits. Today, it's all about distorted prices for land, energy, capital, and labor, leading to headlines filled with land grabs, shady loans, energy misadventures, and labor policy twists. China unleashed a colossal anti-corruption campaign that felt like they were casting a net to catch high-ranking officials, like they were elusive underwater creatures. They didn't just catch fish, they reeled in over 120 big fish, including a dozen military brass, a posse of state-owned company bigwigs, and even 5 national leaders. As of 2023, they've hauled in so many misbehaving government officials that it's like they've been on a never-ending fishing expedition, prosecuting a whopping 2.3 million of them. All this hoopla isn't just about playing hide-and-seek with dodgy deals. It's part of a grand plan to get the Communist Party's house in order and ensure that everyone's singing from the same karaoke songbook. And who's the conductor of this symphony of scrutiny? None other than Xi Jinping, who's turned anti-corruption into his own personal political brand. Drum roll for President Xi Jinping, standing tall like a modern-day knight, sword in hand, ready to vanquish the dragons of corruption and preserve the honor of the Communist Party. Now, you might wonder, why should we applaud Xi's anti-corruption campaign? Well, for starters, he's shaking up the status quo. While corruption hasn't quite brought China to its knees, it has certainly been a thorn in its side. Xi is the no-nonsense parent who says, "Enough is enough, kids, we're cleaning this mess up." And here's the kicker. Xi's campaign isn't just about slapping a few wrists and calling it a day. No, he's going after both the tigers and the flies. That means high-ranking officials and the little guys too. It's a corruption zoo, and Xi is determined to keep it in check. In a 2007 study on corruption in China for the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Min-Shin Pei, a professor at Claremont McKenna College in California, stated that the odds of a corrupt official going to jail are less than 3%, making corruption a high-return, low-risk activity. However, with Xi on the prowl, those odds are quickly changing. But it's not all about punishment, which ranges from fines to prison, and even the capital punishment special depending on the severity of the offense. They're simplifying investment procedures and lowering tax rates, making corruption less attractive, like trying to tempt a cat away from a laser pointer with a bowl of plain kibble, not as enticing anymore. To truly untangle this web of corruption, China must grapple with the intertwined roles of the party, government, enterprises, and banks. Privatization and transparency hold the keys to breaking this cycle. The journey toward a less corrupt future is challenging, requiring political liberalization and public vigilance. As the pages of China's story turn, the ultimate question remains: will the market or the state dictate the course of this narrative? And as always, if you found this exploration of the truth about Chinese corruption enlightening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. to stay updated on more thought-provoking content.